Full transparency, I do not need glasses and I only wore these for the thumbnail. And it made you click if you're watching this video. But how did that happen, right? What actually made you want to click this video? And what makes anybody do anything, including buying something, right? So what actually happens in the mind to buy something? And it's pretty dang important to know that, because if you're trying to sell something to somebody, you should probably know what goes inside their brain to make them buy your stuff. And it's crazy to me because you'd think that's pretty obvious, but if you look at all the people that are trying to sell stuff, instead of studying the brain, psychology, they look at the best new appointment booking system or the best new sales system or the best script, and they think that's the solution to their problems. Well, I tried that too, and it didn't work for me. I started my first business when I was 18, and I tried getting clients online, copying this best stuff, and it completely failed, right? And it wasn't until I really had a deep understanding of psychology. It wasn't until I started studying people like Carl Jung, Carl Rogers, Sigmund Freud, Edward Bernays. And all those people gave me a good foundation to understand what really makes somebody do anything. How do people operate their lives? So there's a very consistent mental model to how people make decisions. And it goes like this. Starts with a drive, then you have a goal, then you have a problem, then you have pain, then you have evaluation, then you have confidence, and then you have action. So that's my goal for you today. I'm going to explain each one of those steps. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to understand how to engineer all of those steps into everything that you do, into your sales scripts, into all your appointment booking systems, your social media, your ads, everything. Because if you don't understand this stuff, then how are you supposed to create anything to make anybody do anything, right? So let's get right into it. So let's start with drive. Drive is the one thing that you don't have to engineer. Drive is a latent condition. Drive is really I would put it as the insecurities is usually what it is, or the lack of something, right? So I'll give you an example of drive. Let's say I'm somebody who wants social credit, right? And then that leads into something, right? So social credit would be a drive, or wanting to feel security, or wanting freedom. Right? These initial emotions, that is where every single decision starts from. Literally everything, from having to take a piss. There's a drive there, and I'll explain that in a second. Hang with me, all right? So drive is pretty simple. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. So that's drive. Next phase is going to be goal. So when we have these drives, let's say I want social credit. Well, okay, I want social credit. How do I get social credit? Oh, I could buy a Lamborghini, right? Oh, I can start learning how to make money, or I want to make 10 grand a month, right? Or I need to solve this issue in my business. I need appointments, right? Or if I had somebody to run my ads and sell this product for me, I'd be able to get the money to be able to solve this initial drive of wanting social acceptance. So that would be the goal. So the drive created the goal. And if we don't understand this, if we don't understand what is the drive and the goal of our market, then we're not able to make any material or stimuli to be able to make them take the decision. So that's why it's really important to understand these things. So, okay, we understand drive and goal. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those because these are latent. We don't really have to engineer those because the person already has them. Now, here's where things get interesting. When you have a drive and a goal, there's something blocking it. There's a problem, right? So if I want a Lamborghini, if I go to the dealership, try to buy a Lamborghini, well, I don't have the money. Shit. Or if I have a drive for freedom, for example, well, I don't have the money to move out. Or if I have a drive for freedom, well, I don't have the appointments to get on the sales call, to close them and make the money, right? There's so many different types of problems that can come up when you have a goal. And understanding these very specific problems would be super important because you're creating a solution for them. And if you try to frame it from the perspective of what you view the problem as, instead of the person you're selling it to, then you're making something that would sell yourself, not the clients. Why would anybody do that? Why would anybody buy from you, right? So, okay, we have the drive, we have the goal, we have the problem. So what's next, right? That's going to be pain. This is where things get really interesting. This is where we can start engineering stuff. And this is where I would start taking notes. I'd whip out a notepad right now and start taking notes. So understanding pain is very important because every single decision that a human makes is based off of pain. People are pain averse. People are risk averse. That is how we operate. If we want anything, if you want to buy a birthday card for somebody, that is caused by pain. It is the pain of, maybe it's their perception of you. Maybe it's the pain of knowing that they won't feel like they were noticed on their birthday. Every single decision that you make is based off of pain. Every single one. You can give me any example and I can tell you exactly how it relates back to pain. And that is why, like on a sales call, for example, that you have to know how to increase pain. You never cause pain. You simply amplify it. That's a little bit off track because it's sales, but you get the idea, right? And that's the idea when we're creating any sort of stimuli, when we're creating appointment booking systems, sales, literally anything. You have to understand their pain, because if you miss any of these things, this chain of mental model framework that I'm telling you, if you miss any of these things, then you will fail. They will fall off. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to understand this, right? So there's a few ways that we can engineer pain. Discussion alone causes pain. When you speak, something interesting happens. When we speak, we quite literally reprogram our subconscious, right? That's why people say, do your daily affirmations, right? That stuff actually doesn't work. I can get into that. I won't though. But when we talk about, like, for example, the death of a family member, right? Or if we talk about the fact that we've done hours and hours of work to try to get appointments and nothing's working, or we've had this business for 20 years and we're only at 20K a month, right? When we say these things out loud, they are uncomfortable. They quite literally increase our cortisol levels, increase our heart rate, and cause anxiety and pain. And this is so important because humans will take the path of least resistance. And if you do not engineer something that gives them the path of least resistance to escape that pain, then it's not going to work, right? So, okay, we have a general idea on how to cause pain. Usually through questioning is the way that you cause pain, but you can also do it through your marketing by understanding their pains and then asking them a question in the marketing about it, right? That's why you see ads like, when's the last time you spent 4 hours trying to do outreach? Well, we automated it, right? That's their like high level attempt, actually not how you do it. But anyways, after pain, we have evaluation, right? So let's say I have I have a drive, right? And I have to go pee. And then we have all the other things that I just said. And now I'm in pain because it hurts, because I have to pee. I'm using an absurd example to show really how well this applies to anything. Well, now I have evaluation. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm driving. Do I want to pull over to the side of the road and pee in public? Maybe I'm uncomfortable with that. Do I want to wait a little bit longer to find a place to stop and go pee? Or do I want to, if I'm really afraid of public, maybe I'll wait till I get home and then go pee, right? People will always evaluate the best option to escape the pain, right? So understanding their thought processes when it goes into evaluation is really important. Because if you understand those thought processes, you can nudge them in the right direction. You can give them a roadmap to escaping this pain. And that is why it's very important. A lot of people skip the evaluation phase of this mental model. And it's really important because what happens when you give somebody a path of least resistance and you guide them through evaluation, they see you as an authority. So I'll give you an example. Somebody comes to me and they say, Jesse, I'm struggling with client acquisition. I can't get appointments, right? And they're like, I need the best systems. That's what I think is the issue. Maybe I need AI automations to book appointments. And I tell them, well, yeah, that those things can be helpful, but let's start with your offer first, right? You're serving every niche under the sun. And that means you can't create the stimuli to be able to actually get appointments. That's probably the first issue. So we probably want to start with building an offer first. I gave them more insight into their evaluation. Now they view me as the expert in this case, right? So if we're able to understand their irrationalities, understand what they think, what they believe is the best source to escape their pain, and we have two options. We can either say, we can position ourselves as what you know that they assume to be the way to escape that pain, right? If they think it's systems, say, we have the best systems in the world, blah, 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 even if you know that systems aren't the issue, right? Or we can do the opposite. You can go in there and say, well, here's actually the way you need to think about it. And when it comes to marketing, usually you don't have enough time. It really depends, but most outbound systems, at least, you don't have enough time to completely reframe somebody's view around some sort of evaluation. So the best way is usually to play into it. Now, when we look at something like social media, and we're combining that with maybe like boosting Instagram reels or doing YouTube ads, whatever it is, that long form content lets you reframe ideas and put you as a position of authority, right? So we have evaluation. Nobody will take action without confidence. Those are the two things that everybody needs. You need confidence that the action that you're going to take is going to help you escape the pain. And that's the other thing. You have to have pain. Because if I have all the confidence in the world, you can give me results, but I don't have any pain, why would I go with you? But if I have all the pain in the world, but I have zero confidence that you'll get the results, why would I go with you? So your one job when trying to elicit stimuli for somebody to take an action should be to amplify as much pain and amplify as much confidence, or you can do the inverse of this. You can increase doubt, or you can remove skepticism. You can do, those are 4 different tools that you can use for both sides of that. And you apply this in sales, you apply this in your outbound systems, you apply this in your content, you can apply this in ads, you can do it in multiple different ways, right? That's why, quick tip, it's very helpful if you have some sort of AI tool that's trained on all of this information, including all the psychology and things like that, so it can do it for you. Because doing this is a lot of work if you don't have the software to do it, right? You don't have enough computing power in your brain to do copywriting that's truly effective, right? So anyways, we have the action phase, or we have the confidence phase, and the last phase is just going to be action, right? And then you confidence take action. So action phase is pretty damn simple. If they're going to click a button, they need to know what happens. If they're going to move forward with you, they need to know what that looks like, right? If they're just guessing and going into the abyss, they will have no idea what happens, and then they will not continue. If you're creating an outbound system and there isn't a clear call to action that says what to do and what happens after you do that, then they won't move forward. Pretty simple stuff, I know, pretty damn simple. So that's all you need. That's literally the exact entire framework that you need. Drive, goal, problem, pain, evaluation, and then confidence, action. That's it. Literally, if you apply that to every single piece of stimuli that you put in front of your target audience, I promise you, I promise you will see an increase in results. The issue is everybody goes out there freehanding it and trying to shove value down their throats. And they focus so much on me, why my business is the best, instead of looking at the person you're actually selling to. Completely irrational. Now, I want to give you a little bit bonus so we can apply these things a little bit better, right? Instead of just giving you the fish, teach you how to fish, right? You can just take the things that I just told you and apply them. You'll probably see results, right? But it's not the frameworks that is going to make you successful. It's understanding how to fish, like I said. It's achieving the paradigm of somebody who writes good copy, who creates good ads, who creates good outbound systems. And the way that you achieve that paradigm is by, I call it building your temple, right? It's understanding the laws of nature. Because if you try to fight the laws of nature, you are going to absolutely fail, right? So how do we understand the laws of nature? Well, you go to the source, right? For example, a lot of people read the 48 Laws of Power and think it's the solution to everything. For me, I looked at the 48 Laws of Power and I was like, why would I read a rapper? Robert Greene is amazing, by the way. He has very interesting perspectives on things. But instead of reading the 48 Laws of Power, reading something that was synthesized by another brain, I went to the source. So the 48 Laws of Power is based off the books The Prince, and so Machiavelli, The Prince, and also Sigmund Freud and all the other psychoanalysis, right? So when you're going to evaluate this framework, you should probably understand psychology. You should probably understand the laws of persuasion. You should probably understand propaganda, right? That is why it's important. I'll tell you, read the Red Book by Carl Jung, right? Look into Edward Bernays. The book is called Propaganda. You can literally type it in and put PDF at the end and you will find it, right? Read all of these things, and these indirect concepts will weave themselves together, and you'll have a completely different paradigm on what I just told you, right? I can make a 30-hour video, a 30-hour course on just this stuff alone, but you probably don't want to watch the whole thing. So you should probably just achieve the paradigm that allows you to apply this framework the best. I promise you, once you do all this stuff, everything will just fall into place. Client acquisition will feel so much easier. People on sales calls, my sales calls are the easiest thing in the world. I don't have objections, right? So many people glorify their ability to identity reframe and handle objections. It's like, dude, you shouldn't have objections in the first place. If you understand this stuff, you won't get objections, right? Appointment booking won't be hard, right? Building a good offer won't be hard. So that is why understanding how to fish is so dang important. Learn the real concepts from the bare bones, and you'll be able to view client acquisition from a completely different perspective that nobody else has. And it gives you an insane competitive advantage over everybody else. That's all I have for you. Apply this, see what happens. That's the best thing I could tell you. If I gave you value today, you should totally subscribe. Or if you think I completely wasted your time, I don't know, leave a thumbs down and comment something mean and don't subscribe. That's all I have for you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you.